A woman was fired after she was overheard complaining to her coworker. But she wasn't complaining about her weird working hour schedule, nor was it about her paycheck, like one might expect. She was, instead, complaining about the fact that some executives were sleeping with their female subordinates and handing out promotions in exchange. Millions of people open the AccuWeather's app every morning before they leave the house. One federal agency found that they knew that its own workplace was being described as a climate of fear, yet took no action for years. AccuWeather is one of the largest private weather companies in the world. It takes data collected by the federal government, the kind that the taxpayers already paid for, and then repackages it into an app and a website, and then sells advertising against it. That is a business. By itself, that isn't much of a story. The story used to build this tier list of controversies is what else they found upon going through the court filings, federal agency records, and official settlement documents. One detail from those documents is that AccuWeather had its own internal committee whose entire job it was to receive harassment complaints from employees. Federal investigators found that the committee hadn't been active for over 2 years. A second detail is that in 2009, AccuWeather's CEO sat on a federal advisory group. After their meeting, the government agency that he depended on for his business was quietly blocked from expanding into smartphones and social media. The exact participants of that meeting haven't ever been publicly disclosed. We'll come back to both of those stories. The federal investigation of AccuWeather began when an employee filed a legal complaint in September 2016. Over the next 2 years, federal investigators interviewed more than 24 eyewitnesses across multiple departments. They documented groping, they documented unwanted kissing, a pattern in which women who entered into sexual relationships with male managers received promotions and scheduled perks, while the women who refused or complained faced a wildly different outcome. That's the most severe item on the list. But there are still 7 additional verified individual controversies in this research set. We are going to go through each one. Every single item is sourced, and every item is distinct. You can and should verify everything. The Ombudsman Committee, which is the internal body that AccuWeather directed employees to use to report harassment, hadn't had a meeting in over 2 years, while the violations were still occurring. The federal documents establish this fact, but don't show who knew that the committee was inactive, or whether this inactivity was deliberate. The same federal investigation produced a second specific finding, which is that when the workers did complain to the supervisors or to their useless human resources department, the company completely failed to act on those complaints. Some of the people who raised concerns faced adverse consequences afterwards. Federal investigators documented that the workers described being afraid to report anything because they believed that they'll be fired and, in their own words, blacklisted from the industry. The conciliation agreement that AccuWeather signed in June 2018 includes an explicit provision prohibiting retaliation against future complaints. When a federal agency adds that kind of provision to a settlement agreement, it means that investigators found that the prior behavior was serious enough to require a formal legal prohibition going forward. And so because of this, one woman was fired after being overheard criticizing the culture. The harassment was documented, the retaliation was documented, yet both continued because there were no internal mechanisms functioning. Which brings us to the mobile app. Most of what follows here connects back to 2 people. Barry Myers was the CEO of AccuWeather for most of the period that we're covering. Joe Myers is his brother, and he holds the title of president. Joe Myers signed the federal harassment settlement. Barry Myers signed the NOAA Nomination paperwork. Their names continue to appear in this data set of corporate controversies. In August 2017, a security researcher named Will was looking at network traffic on an iPhone running the AccuWeather app. He found something concerning, to say the least. The app was transmitting data to a third-party company called Reveal Mobile, a firm which aggregates location data for advertising purposes. Specifically, the app was sending the name of the user's home Wi-Fi router and its unique hardware identifier, which together can pinpoint a physical address to within a few meters. The users whose data was being transmitted had, in every case, explicitly turned off location sharing inside the AccuWeather app, but AccuWeather was sharing the location anyway. ZDNet independently verified this finding. In response, AccuWeather temporarily removed the Reveal mobile software from the app. AccuWeather's very own initial public statement said that the company was, quote, not aware of the extent of this data collection. That statement was later walked back upon. In March 2018, the privacy organization Epic filed a lawsuit in Washington, D.C., under DC's consumer protection law. This case was resolved in late 2019 after AccuWeather agreed to some structural changes. Users can now separately opt out of the advertising data collection and can request the deletion of the device data that AccuWeather had been holding. No monetary damages were reported as part of this resolution. The app collected data from customers who had already said no. A fundamentally anti-lobbying operation targeted the agency that produced the data that the app itself was built on. On April 12, 2005, Joe Myers donated $2,000 $50,000 to Senator Rick Santorum's Political Action Committee. 2 days later, Santorum introduced Senate Bill 786, National Weather Service Duties Act of 2005. This bill would have prohibited the National Weather Service, which is a federal agency that operates on taxpayer funding, from publishing free forecasts in any geographic area in which a private company was already providing that service commercially. As you may have guessed, AccuWeather was a primary private company providing that service. The effect, had Senator Santorum's bill passed, would have been to make the government agency which collects all the raw data visible to the public, while the private profiteering company that only repackages that data retained full access to it and had essentially a monopoly. Thankfully, that bill died in committee. Between 2003 and mid-2005, the Myers brothers donated a combined total of over $11,000 to Santorum and the Republican Party. AccuWeather's federal lobbying expenditure in 2005 was $40,000. The bill may have ultimately failed, but the underlying government bribery strategy did not. In 2009, Barry Myers was appointed to a NOAA advisory group. The outputs of that group included a policy which blocked the National Weather Service from building applications for smartphones and social media. At this time, AccuWeather was actively expanding its own mobile platform. The full list of private sector members who participate in the advisory group hasn't ever been publicly disclosed. The policy output is documented, but the process is not, which brings us up to the year 2017. In October 2017, President Donald J. Trump nominated Barry Myers to serve as administrator of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. NOAA is a federal agency with the satellite data readings and the weather models and the forecast data that AccuWeather has used as the input for all of its commercial products for its entire existence. Myers spent years through lobbying efforts and through advisory group participation, working to limit what the taxpayer-funded agency was allowed to provide to the public for free. 3 former NOAA administrators submitted public statements opposing Barry's nomination. The National Weather Service Employees Organization stated that Myers was, in their words, quote, wholly unqualified, end quote, based on the scientific expertise that the role has historically required. Myers was never given a full Senate vote. He withdrew from the nomination in November 2019. And so, Barry Myers signed the nomination paperwork, but Joe Myers signed the harassment settlement. The same family managed the company during every controversy in this document set. In 2013, AccuWeather extended its forecast from 15 to 45 days. By 2016, they were offering 90-day forecasts. These products appeared on the company's website and mobile app, which were used by millions of people for their schedule planning purposes. The meteorological consensus is that reliable daily forecasts beyond 7 to 10 days aren't physically possible. Atmospheric conditions are chaotic, and small measurements multiply over time. Think of the butterfly effect. The Washington Post tested AccuWeather's 45-day forecast across multiple cities in 2013. The results showed that the forecasts were no more accurate than consulting a historical average for that date. Penn State University's meteorological students conducted a formal, independent assessment that same year as well. They described that forecast beyond 10 days as having, in their technical language, quote, negative skill, meaning they're less useful than using no forecast at all. Gizmodo conducted a similar assessment of the 90-day forecast in 2016 and reached the exact same conclusion. AccuWeather hadn't published any internal accuracy data for those products at the time of any of those assessments. Meanwhile, millions of people scheduled their plans around these exact same inaccurate weather forecasts. No enforcement action was ever taken against these failing extended forecasts. There's no settlement figure from the site here. There's no legal mandate requiring accuracy disclosures on a weather forecast product. It's an actual gap in corporate accountability that hasn't ever been resolved. The total verified financial penalties across this document set are $290,000. That is the OFCCP conciliation settlement paid up to 39 women with a minimum of $7,250 per person. The data privacy lawsuit was resolved without recorded monetary payment. The lobbying expenditures were disclosed in federal records, but they aren't penalties since they're literally just bribes to our government officials. $290,000 is a documented amount. The single clearest behavior pattern across this entire document set of corporate misconduct is the use of regulatory access and institutional positioning to limit competitive constraint. It appeared in the 2005 Senate bill, the 2009 advisory group, and the NOAA nomination, as well as the lobbying expenditures. Across those 4 items, it involves 2 federal agencies, 1 Senate committee, and 15 years of documented activity. It's not described in any of these documents as being a coordinated strategy that AccuWeather deliberately employs to maximize their profits. The documents describe each stance individually, but the pattern is visible to anyone who reads them all together. which now includes me and also you, so congrats on that. The full source table for everything in this video is available at the description box and also at evilcorporations.com. In the next video, I'll be investigating a beloved automotive company with a slightly dark past. So subscribe so you don't miss it.